What's up, guys? My name is Efren, and welcome to a weekly tarot reading here at Blue Flame Royalty. This is my first video, so bear with me as we go through this process, and I invite you to watch the growth as it happens. I invite you guys to comment whether something is relatable to you, something you would like to see, questions you may ask or have. As always, I ask that we keep the space respectful, that we keep an open mind, and that we approach each other with kindness and compassion. So yeah, let me tell you guys a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Efren. I am a Reiki practitioner, a sound bowl healer, and I also am a tarot reader. I've been doing tarot readings for about, I'd say, 5.5 years, going on 6. I started in 2019, and I started off with this deck. Actually, this is the Osho Zen Tarot deck. This is the first deck that I got a reading from here in the States. I've had readings when I visited in Mexico, but the first one that I did here, the readings that they do in Mexico are different than from how they're done here. So, but they still follow a lot of the similar guidelines, but tarot is more, is done a specific way here. And I also would like to learn both sides of it. But as far as here in the States, this was the first tarot reading I had. And that the person that was using it more as an oracle deck. They weren't really using it as a tarot deck per se. And you got a very beautiful card here. This is before I even shuffled it. So yeah, that was my relationship with this card. I began to use the deck companion book for explanations. After a couple of years around 2021, I started to get a bit more of a traditional training through courses and stuff like that. It began with me watching somebody's videos, and they would do weekly tarot videos and astrology and stuff like that. And after watching so many of the videos, you start to kind of pick up on what numbers mean what, and what suits mean what, those kinds of things. Decided to start studying it officially, and I'm going through that process. I had gone through it but did not finish it, so I am restarting the process again. And I have also just have had years of experience doing it on my own. After that, I started to read books on it, and so just pulling expertise and learning it through various mediums that make me confident enough to do it now, and to do it as a service as well. So that's a little bit about my tarot journey. I also am a Reiki practitioner. I've been a Reiki level 1. I've done the process, or I should say I've been certified as a Reiki level 1 practitioner in, I think, November of 2021, and I got my level 2 practitionership certification. I believe it was October or September of 2022. So since then, I've been doing Reiki primarily on myself for the first couple of years before transitioning into doing Reiki on other people to where I am now. I have my own business that is Blue Flame Royalty, and I run that business out of a clinic that I am working in here in Chicago, or a south suburb, I should say, by the Burbank area. If you guys are from Chicago, then you'll kind of know Chicago South Side. So yeah, I meet clients there. I do Reiki sessions. I also do sound healing sessions. Sound healing I've done since about 2021, 2022. I also have a music background. I've, played in bands when I was in high school, wrote music. One of the other bands that I did in high school that was more of an indie acoustic rock band, I would write the music out and write the lyrics out for our singer at the time. And, I would also write accompanying harmony lines and stuff for me to sing with her before transitioning solo and starting to do rap. I've always wanted to be a singer, and I've always loved spoken word poetry. I love poetry in general, so the ability to put all of that together into music is where my love and my passion for rap music came in, for hip hop in general, I should say. And so, accompanying my social justice background from high school and onward, that kind of all cultivates in where I am now, where my spiritual practice is an embodiment of resistance and revolution. It is embodiment of the ascension of consciousness that we have, the realization, the re-realization of our sovereignty as divine people, divine beings, divine souls. And so now my social justice is primarily on spiritual practice, the well-being of our mind, body, and soul, the connection between the earth and the stars as it relates to, we can get deep into it, like different dimensions and stuff like that. So, that is kind of where it's at for those who are aware or who have dabbled with this kind of knowledge and stuff like that. You'll know. For those who don't, as we continue on with the journey, I will always most definitely bring in some things to bring information to folks and stuff like that. Again, keep an open mind if this is new to you. And for a lot of people, it may not be, right? If you're here, you were drawn for a reason. So that's what I do. I own Blue Flame Royalty. That is my business. And I am starting this channel as a way to be able to market myself, but also give folks an insight into what it is that I do. And so the goal here would be to do a couple of pieces of content a week, one of them being a weekly tarot reading, and a couple of other things. I'd rather just kind of go into that space once I get into it. With that being said, let's start with the tarot reading. This is a weekly tarot reading. So I'm not giving a date because, for me, I'm doing this reading right now. This will relate to me for this upcoming week. Say you watch this video 2 weeks from now, it could be for that week. Say you watch it, 3 years from now, it could be for that week. If you somehow find a way to time travel and you see it, actually no, because it wouldn't have existed. But yeah. Point being, whenever you see it and you feel like you're being called to this video, you feel like you're resonating with the frequency of the cards and the messages that come up, then that is a message for you. If you don't, hey, then you don't. That has also happened to me as well. I'm sure to a lot of people that watch, collective tarot readings and stuff, right? Sometimes it hits the mark, sometimes it doesn't. And that's honestly how I started to do tarot. Because I wanted to get an understanding of these things for my own self. And I also enjoyed the idea of doing tarot readings for other people because I enjoyed it that much. I feel like it brought a lot of value, stuff like that. You might be noticing that I'm like continuously checking on my watch. This camera is an old camera from like 2014, consumer entry level. Cameras don't exist. It's either some off-brand stuff from Amazon or you're paying $500 and up for a really good quality camera. I got this for like maybe $120 back in 2014. I just got a new memory card for it, 128 gigs. However, it only can record up to, I believe, like 27 minutes and 13 seconds of continuous film. So I got to keep an eye on my watch to make sure that around the 25-minute mark I start to close out so I don't run into any problems. I just charged the battery, so this also be a test to see how long these batteries last and how good they are. Like I said, this is the collective reading for this week, whatever time, date, location that might be for you. We are using the Osho Zen Tarot deck, and the first card that was pulled while I was talking was this card. It's the three of fire. In traditional tarot, it's the three of wands, and they labeled it here experiencing. I don't have access to see, where, if this is focusing or not, or any of those things. So I'm hoping that it is. This will be a learning experience for all of us. What I might do is I might take a picture of it, or maybe not. We'll see. Okay, so the first card that was pulled was the Three of Wands, or the Three of Fire, and it's labeled experiencing. I'm gonna read the textbook caption of it, and then I'll explain it on my own and continue pulling cards. So this one says, an experience is something that can be filed away in a notebook or captured on film and pasted into an album. Experiencing is the feeling of wonder itself, the thrill of the communion, the gentle touch of our connectedness with all that surrounds us. The woman in this card is not just touching the tree, she is in communion with it. She has almost become one with it. It is an old tree and has seen many hard times. Her touch is gentle, reverent, and the white on the inside of her cape reflects the purity of her heart. She is humble, simple, and that is the right way to approach nature. Nature doesn't bang any drums when it bursts forth into flower, nor play any dirges when the trees let go of their leaves in the fall. But when we approach her when we approach her in the right spirit, she has many secrets to share. If you haven't heard nature whispering to you lately, now is it time to give her an opportunity. So, a lot to unpack now, but we just had a full moon. We just had a lunar eclipse, and a lot of the times, most of the times, all of the full moon is a representation of a time of letting go. For those who follow astrology, I'm going to be honest, it is not my forte, it is not my strength. I get my information from sources, and then I kind of take that as I will and make my own understanding of it as to how it applies to my life and to how I'm seeing it affect people around me. I think Mercury retrograde is starting and stuff like that. What we're experiencing right now during this time has been a time of at least for me and for folks that have been around me, it's been a lot of intense emotion around the past. We are also in the year of the snake, so there's a lot of shedding that needs to be done, quite literally. So with that being said, maybe a lot of things, whether people or things or just items or something, a synchronicity that reminds you of the past, or simply you just having reflections, if it can be painful because, right, especially some of us, we've been through really tough times, and the remembering of some of these moments can be very intense. It can be unpleasant. It can also make you doubt yourself. And so that was the collective energy going into this week. And that's just how it was. But with this full moon and the lunar eclipse, there is a shift in energy that, this is the stereotype that everyone says, oh, well, those who ascend will continue to rise, and those who don't, get left behind or whatever. We each have our own individual journey in the way that we relate to the universe, right? And as that as well, how we intersect with each and every energy around us, whether it's people, whether it's locations, nature, everything carries an energetic frequency. And so, everyone has a relationship with that in terms of how we relate to one another, to the smallest of interactions, to the bigger course of things. And so with that being said, what the Three of Wands here is giving us insight into is that it is reminding us to kind of hunker down and ground. It is very important to ground during this time, especially with the card being, a card of fire, right? Um, a lot of the times, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, there is a connection to the essence of fire there. And there's a lot of red, right? There's a lot of red and orange in the picture. We cannot, it can be hard to be in a good space mentally if you are not grounded. If we're removing this from a spiritual concept, for those folks that go to therapy, therapists will say the same thing. It's hard to be clear-minded if you're not grounded in who you are, and this is why people do like breathing exercises and journaling and stuff like that. And a lot of that translates over into spiritual practice as well, right? This is one of the reasons why I started to do reiki, and as a way to help myself ground and to center my body. So we're being asked to center ourselves at this moment. We're being asked to change the way that we interact with things around us. The way that we used to interact with things around us and with ourselves is at a point where it needs to change. It can be good. It can be bad. Maybe you were interacting in a not so great way before, and you got to change that. Maybe you were interacting in a good way before, but maybe it left you drained of your energy because you were concerning yourself with making sure everybody else was okay before you. It doesn't mean good or bad. It just means that the way that we have to shift how we interact with our emotions, our own selves, people around us, locations around us, the way that we interact as a country, how we're interacting with what's going on politically and stuff like that. There's a lot going on. So the real question that's being asked here is, how do we change our approach to how we interact so that we can come in a more grounded space, and in a space that is more respectful of Mother Earth, of each other, of ourselves, of the consciousness that created us and gave us an opportunity to experience what we call life on this place we call Earth. Like, a lot of us take that for granted because society puts us in a place where we don't even have the time to enjoy that life that we have, because bills got to get paid, stress, this and that and that and this. It's programming. It's a fear tactic, right? And that's not to neglect the fact that these things are real and these things are happening, So, and the card says that in the description, right? It's asking you, how do we, right? Nature isn't loud and boisterous in the way that it interacts, right? When it turns into spring, it's not like there's a choir or an orchestra playing, right? When the leaves fall in the fall, there isn't a string, ensemble that comes out and plays, some tunes. It just does. And so where we're being asked to reflect that, the Mother Nature is telling us, we all need to calm down and ground. We don't need to do the most. We're hurting ourselves trying to be something that we're not. We're hurting ourselves trying to constantly get this external validation that we're seeking because society tells us that we're not good enough, to the point where it brainwashes us to think that we're not good enough, that we start to tell ourselves that we're not good enough, that we're not this and that enough. And that is a real aspect of control that can be done, right? If you knock someone off of their foundation, right? If you're building a house and the foundation is terrible, y'all go home for the night and a storm comes in and the foundation isn't strong, it's getting knocked down. And so we don't want to get knocked down. We've been knocked down enough, and it's time to ask for support from our ancestors, from the universe, from the collective energy that is out, that wants to change things for the better. I didn't anticipate going this hard on this one card, but there was a lot for that card. So again, I have about 25 minutes. I had paused the filming at some point and came back in, so I'm probably going to be closer to 35 minutes this one. I have this book called A Little Bit of Tarot. This was one of the first books that I got that really helped me kind of get a more deeper understanding of these things. So I'm gonna read this again, right? I have my own interpretation of the card, but I also want to give the option for folks who are maybe wanting to learn more about tarot or are just kind of more curious to the traditional reading. Then this is what it is, right? So the threes. The three represents building or rebuilding on previous situations or decisions. The direction of those new opportunities will appear if you look hard enough. It is a number traditionally associated with celebrations, marriage, pregnancy, and birth, or increasingly acquiring a readily made family. Birth can be, literally a birth of a child, the birth of a new idea, the birth of a new self, right? Again, when we're speaking about fire energy, I think of a phoenix, right? A phoenix, when it gets old, it burns itself, and from the ashes, it's reborn. Using that philosophy, sometimes we have to be, willing to create a new aspect of ourselves, a new version of ourselves that the universe wants us to be. A lot of people talk about realizing the highest version of ourselves. This is that opportunity. This is the time that we're in currently, right? Threes are excellent for creative ventures. I think in getting back to how we're interacting with energies and stuff like that, one of the things is being happy, being at peace with yourself. The way that we do that is through tapping into our passions and our creativity. We all, I think, come in on Earth with a specific gift that we're very unique to, right? And those are the things that we should be doing. And everyone is diverse in the way that their gifts and talents come in. This is why not everyone can do one thing, right? You can learn to do some things, but we all know when somebody got something real special, they got something real special. And if you work at it, you can be something amazing, right? We're being asked to tap into that. A lot of people would readily say, hey, your passion can be your job. Yes, it can be. We want to create abundance, but we don't want it to be a job. We don't want it to feel like a chore. We don't want it to feel like a job. Do we want to use the word job to identify with that? Now I get it. We live in a capitalistic society. You will be homeless and starving if you don't work a job, if you don't provide an income. But how do we change that language? Do your passion to create and attract abundance, because abundance can come in finances, because money is an energy exchange. But maybe you find a community. Maybe you help boost the frequency of love and compassion, of light, of change, positive change. Even if it's small, it might seem small and minute to you, but in the grand scale of things, it means a whole lot. So, that abundance can mean a whole lot of things. It means that, quite literally, the things that the universe has told you before you came here, you were going to do. And that's why in your mind, as life goes on, you're like, I feel like I need to do this. I've been having dreams of this. These are things that you came in previous with the universe before you came on this earth. Hey, this is what the journey is going to be. This is what we're going to have you do. This is what we're going to have you experience. That's why you have that. You're being called. You're being summoned to do something. So what is that? And remove the ego. Some of us, myself included, wanted to be fucking rich and famous. Wanted to be, a music star, or this or that, whatever, etc. Because we wanted to feed our ego, because we felt like we weren't enough. And we see what gets validated in this world. Money, for men, money, sex, fame, the luster of attraction, the desire aspect, so remove that side of you, because it's going to get in your own way. You might think something isn't that great, but unless you're in that position and actively doing it, how are you going to know? As opposed to you thinking you're going to feel better going down the route that you wanted to have, and it don't feel great if and when you do get it. Okay, so we got about like 10 minutes, probably pull 2 more cards. The Three of Wands, any plan or creative ventures you have or plan to put into action in the near future will lead to an expansion of opportunities. People from further afield and overseas will offer new outlets for your talents and perhaps unexpected overseas travel. Striking out for independence and getting your own home, promotion, or a new, more fulfilling career are indicated. If job hunting, expand your range of jobs in the physical area of research. Any creative ventures you pursue will yield a favorable response. Cool. See, it's kind of like what I was saying, you know. Okay, this is why it's good to have a traditional or textbook version, right? Whether it is the literal tarot decks description book and some kind of textbook that gives you the cards and stuff, because a lot of the times they'll interact, and this is how you get better at kind of understanding what cards mean and stuff, because you start to see situations. But that reading for me is amazing, because here I am starting this creative venture with y'all. I'm hoping it does yield abundance, and I'm knowing it's yielding abundance. I am knowing that it is gonna go overseas because the internet is international. And I hope that whatever creative ventures you have, whether it's creative or whether it's through a job field, that you find success, enjoy in it. I pray that everyone finds happiness and contentment. And I don't understand people who don't want good for people, but some people have been severely hurt, or some of the people experience trauma so messed up that you quite literally break your sanity and do some insane things to yourself or to people. So, it's not to justify bad things that happen. I'm always curious as to how we got here and how we can prevent it. Okay? That's where I'm coming with it. So I said I'd do 2 more cards. This one really wants to poke out, so okay, so we have the Master card. So this is a card that is unique to the tarot deck. This is, right, tarot decks I believe are traditionally, it's not 52, I think it's like 72 cards. I don't remember, but this is one extra card that identifies, or that is unique to this deck. The person that wrote this book is depicted on here as the Master. And again, like I said, this card is unique to this book. I've pulled this card a couple of times, so I'll give my quick explanation as to what this card is. And this card is a card that is calling you to become a master of your own wisdom. Okay? A lot of us maybe feel like, I need to find out how to do this from someone else. And I'll be vulnerable, and I'll give a bit of my own journey. For me, I always felt like I needed a mentor. I needed to be under somebody's wing temporarily in order for me to get the ropes, or to get the opportunity to do the things that I am wanting to do. What has happened is that I've had people take advantage of me asking for help, and I feel like they take it as, oh, this person is helpless, and it can feed my ego if I help them. And I'll go as far as say, if you don't do exactly what I say to do, you must not want it as bad as you do, which is crazy, right? Like, you don't live my life. I got to where I got to because of me, and as I move forward, I'm going to do what I'm going to do because of me. Don't get your head on a swivel and get knocked off. No, just kidding. Don't let your ego trip you up. Don't let your trauma trip your ego into tripping you up about the overimportance of what you play. Like I said, there is no above or below in terms of who is above and who is below, right? Somebody who has never heard the term tarot or astrology or any of these things is no less of a person than the most astute astrologer and tarot reader, right? We are all on the same level playing field, figuring out this thing we call life. And so all that to say, while it is important to ask folks for help and to get support in areas that you need to, you also need to be discerning about who you allow into your space, especially like that. A business relationship is still a relationship. A personal relationship is still a relationship. A friendship is still a relationship. A romantic relationship, probably the most obvious one example, is a relationship, right? It is a form of intimacy. And I'm not talking about, sexual intimacy or anything like that. It can be that, right? In the case of romantic relationships, there is a portion of that where it is sexual intimacy. But intimacy is also a bunch of other things. Intimacy is how we relate to each other, how vulnerable we are, how much we allow our energies to commingle in a space, right? Whether we're physically near each other or whether we're not. So in a business relationship, when folks are out here asking for mentorships, it is important to be discerning about who you allow in, because some people are really fucking weird, to put it as light as I can. Some people are really weird about how they view themselves and how they view other people. And sometimes you have to go through that experience to learn that. Again, I'm talking from experience. Sometimes you can hear other people talk about it and avoid that experience. But unfortunately, a lot of the times it comes down to you having that experience yourself. Life is the best teacher for experience, as the first card is the experiencing card. So as we're experiencing things in life, we might start to build a resentment towards life and towards people, and we start to interact and think of certain things to be a certain way all the time. And we can become nihilistic, we can become jaded, we can become resentful, angry, fearful, mistrusting. That's not a way to live life. That's not what I want for myself. That's not what I want for y'all. That's not what the universe wants for us. What needs to happen is, as we're having these different experiences, we need to take that experience, ground, reflect, and then relay a different experience with how we interact moving forward, right? That's how it's connecting the first card with the second card. The second card, the Master card, again, it is asking us that maybe for right now, let's figure out how much we can do on our own before we ask for support. Let's show ourselves how capable we are, because when we ask for support and we get into manipulative or leechy type relationships, it's because we don't value ourselves, and that is not placing blame on nobody. I don't believe in the concept of victim blaming. You can only do the best to what you know at the moment. And if you don't know that you are worth better than the experience that you're having, you can't be blamed for that. But what happens after the fact, we need not feel like everyone is going to be like that experience, and we don't trust people. We don't want that. We want to take that experience and be like, how do I find people that can relay and reflect this version of myself that I know I am worthy of? And so that is what the Master is calling us to do. Yes, it is important to ask for support, but there is no better teacher of yourself than your own self. And that is what this card is indicating right now. I'm loving this process. I'm not going to sit here and lie with y'all. This is nice. Years in the making. And years in the making. And I'm grateful to be here. We're at the right moment. And if you're here with me watching this video at whatever time, wherever you may be, we're right where we need to be. Okay? Regardless. If this is the last time you see me and you never watch another video again, we shared a moment, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, getting back to the Master card, the other indication of this card, what it's asking, if you're having a toxic relationship with a mentor or a job or a relationship where there is a hierarchy. Remember how I said, like, there is no one or above, right? Hierarchies create that, right? And when you're at a traditional job, right, you are the subordinate to your boss. There are power plays that happen that leave workers feeling like they can't speak up for themselves in a way because the threat of their job and the threat of a lot of different things, right? So, if you're having sorry, I'm just putting my phone on do not disturb. If you're having a unhealthy relationship with someone that is in a hierarchy above you, then it may be time to move on from that situation. That is not me telling you to do that. That is, if that resonates with you, hey, I'm having an unhealthy relationship or not, or unhealthy or toxic interactions with someone that is above me in a hierarchy sense, then it's, what I'm asking you to do is to reflect on whether it may be time to go or not. The cards are saying that it is, or you might just be called to speak up for yourself in that sense. If you're asking for my personal opinion, if someone don't respect you, you don't deserve my time or my energy. Deuces. I'm out. The money will not, money will never be the reason why I do something. And it should not be for anyone. But money puts some people in situations where they have to do anything for it because it is about livelihood, especially when people are dependent on you. So, if we're not in that situation and we can make a decision to move out of an unhealthy situation, then let's do that. However, make sure that your foundation is rooted and grounded. That also includes financial security, a home, a roof over your head, food. So we just want to be conscious of that as we're making decisions. But we are being called to change the scenery. We're being called to change the scenery. So that it concludes my reading for that. But I'm going to read you the card, the definition of the card from the tarot text in itself. I don't know where it's at. Give me a second. For right now, I just want to ask you, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? You know, how's life? Are there parts of this that resonate with you? Are there parts that don't? You know, leave it in the comments. I know every YouTuber says that, but genuinely, I want to see folks talk and I want to see what other people got to say. So definitely leave it in the comments, whatever you feel called to. Page 46. Okay, I was flipping this everywhere, but where it was. Okay, I just saw the next card, the last card. So, okay, so this is the Master Zen, right? The Master in Zen is not a master over others. But this is literally what I was saying. Look, I'm a 2-mile horn, but I'm good, bro. I'm good at what I do. Like, you know, I don't know if y'all notice, but like every time I say part of the reading and then I read it, it's literally, you know, in a similar same sense. But again, adding context, that's what we want. We just want to give an overabundance of information so folks can pick and choose what resonates and feels right for them. Okay. I'm not sitting here telling you what it is. That's for you to interpret that. Okay. I'm just here being a vessel of information and I love it. So this is my passion. This is my creativity and it is also my business and my source of income. So I'm blessed to be in a space where I have all of these things going on. Trust me, not everything is peachy, and not everything is peaches and cream behind the scenes. Life be lifing. The money isn't consistent, but you know, it's a trade-off for freedom. Maybe some folks' freedom is I have a 40-hour job and I can do what I want with the money after that. My freedom is my energy and my time. Okay. And I'm also in a grateful position that I can also travel and do fun things that I enjoy. So, yeah. Anyways, the Master in Zen is not a master over others, but a master of himself. His every gesture and his every word reflect his enlightened state. He has no private goals, no desire that anything should be other than the way that it is. His disciples gather around him not to follow him, but to soak up his presence, and be inspired by his example. In his eyes, they find their own truth reflected, and in his silence, they fall more easily into silence of their own beings. The Master welcomes the disciples not because he wants to lead them, but because he has so much to share. Together, they create an energy field that supports each unique individual in finding his or her own light. If you can find such a master, you are blessed. If you cannot, keep on searching. Learn from teachers and would-be masters and move on. I can't fucking. It's a word. Charaveti. Charaveti said. Gautam Buddha. Oh my God! It said Buddha. Keep on moving is a translation. I butchered that, but that is. I butchered that. So, that did not go how I wanted it to go, but the essential translation is keep on moving. Once you have learned the lesson, keep on moving. There is no need to stay in a situation that, and sometimes a lesson can be harsh. Sometimes a lesson can be beautiful. Sometimes a lesson is, right, in a beautiful sense, is marriage. You keep on learning and you stay together. Sometimes a lesson is you disrespected me and you crossed the boundary, and previously in life I would have not defended myself, but this time I am deciding to move on, even if that means saying no to some potential money. Not all money is good money. That is one of my experiences that I had to do recently. So, that I had to go through. So there is that. That is that. The third card, we minute 7 on this one. So this video, I had to stop it and start it a couple of times. So yeah, it's gonna be longer than 25 minutes. It's probably gonna be closer to an hour. And moving forward, I had a bit of an intro to the channel in this video, so we'll see kind of, how the next ones play. Okay, so the next card is the Major Arcana 17. I believe this is the moon in traditional tarot, but here it is silence. And maybe it is obvious to the folks who see it, and maybe it's not. But what we're being, again, this is kind of going back to the original card, the experiencing card, being asked to be grounded. It's just interesting that this card is blue and purple and white, while this card is red and orange and yellow. We're having the top 3 chakras and the bottom 3 chakras, right? The heart is always at the center. The heart is the middle chakra. In this silence card, we're being asked to go inwards, to quite literally be in silence, to meditate, to reflect. There is no other way for me to say this besides emphasize the importance of meditation. Emphasize the importance of meditation and what that offers to the mind, the body, and the soul. Okay? If you are ever looking for answers, and this goes back to the Master card, if you are ever overtly looking for answers for validation externally, you're going to have some people that unfortunately are going to abuse that fact and abuse you. So we don't want that. Again, some of us have to learn that experience by going through it. There is no shame in that. Some of us are really good people, and we don't assume people to be bad people. We don't assume that even when you're showing me who you are, that we still choose to see the best in you. And that is not a terrible quality to have. We just have to learn the experience, unfortunately, so that we don't allow those things to happen again, and have a healthy relationship with that memory if we choose to, or to simply move on and move forward. But again, we are quite literally a hard drive, right? So, meditation is key. Meditation allows you to slow your breathing down, to calm the physical body, to calm the nervous system, but it also silences the overactive mind, the overthinking mind, the overstimulated mind, right? When we're talking about the body and that slowing down and the cortisol levels going down and the breath rate going down, that is, connecting to the root chakra, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, Solar plexus, right? Red, orange, and yellow. That is that grounding aspect while also calming down the mind. The mind is governed by the third eye, which in this card, the moon is literally at her third eye. And the stars are the crown chakra, which is our connection to the universe, our antenna, how we receive information. If you have a question about life, this is why I started to do tarot. If you have a question about life, some of us may use tools like tarot or astrology or numerology to be able to receive messages to an answer to a question that we have. The most free and accessible thing to do is to meditate. What do you need? Nothing besides an open mind, quite literally, to be able to do this. And then we have, right, the master, we have this like ethereal, multicolored new moon looking star portal thing on top of his head above his crown chakra, right? The soul star chakra. Again, our connection to the divine needs to be mediated by our body. If you have an antenna that's covered by a bunch of stuff on a cell tower, you're not going to get good signal. If, especially with the older phones, certain cases would block the signal from going out of phones, right? If you're, and this is also where, food and herbs and detoxing the body come. If you have mucus and muck and toxicity and drugs flowing through your body, you cannot receive the signal how you need to receive it. That is also why meditation is important, because it teaches your body to tune in to frequencies to be able to receive said messages. That is what we're being called here, right? Experiencing, maybe, if I'm going to place myself into this reading to give people an example, the Three of Wands is telling me I had a certain experience that a certain experience that left me jaded, that is putting me in a position where I won't ever allow this to happen. But I also need to remind myself that I need to be cool, calm, and collected and grounded throughout this process. I don't need to be, justice doesn't always need to be so loud. Justice can be as simple as you leaving and being like, I wish you the best. I hope that your success comes, and I pray for your healing. It can be as simple as just leaving. This is why a way to protest and what is happening right now is people are not buying items. People are not shopping at certain stores. That is a way to leave. Such a beautiful way to do it. You create change. You shift the way that you interact. The Master card was telling me you learn the lesson from this and you move on. And rather than searching for a new master, become the master of self. I have all the tools that I need to get to where I want to. Right now I'm in the space of proving that to myself. Right? How do I get there? How do I help all of that? Is I meditate? Is I reflect? Is that I go within myself to understand, right? Some people call this the shadow self and stuff, right? To understand that part of myself that is maybe parts of myself that I'm not the biggest fan of, that I'm ashamed or guilty of, right? We all deal with fear. We all deal with some sort of abandonment issue. We all go through feelings of being inadequate and things like that. So, we're being called to go within, shift our interactions with stuff that is around us, because we are worthy of so much more. The Three of Wands dictates whatever we are wanting to do in this moment is assured success if you are going from a place of clarity. If you're going at it from a place of clarity, this is where the ego does not need to be involved, because there is no place for ego in this part. It just won't. It will not do. It will not do. It will not work. It won't work. And it won't be healthy for you. It won't be good for you. So that's the reading, right? That is that little last bit. That's my interpretation of the reading. That's how I want you guys to kind of go about it. Create your story, your journey of what these cards mean to you and what resonated with you and what didn't. If you like certain aspects of the way that I did this, let me know in the comments. If you didn't, let me know in the comments as well, because I would love to get some feedback and improve. Obviously, I'm asking folks to be respectful. I'm not naive to to the fact that this is the internet and people will quite literally say whatever, just for fun, for trolling and stuff like that. So I don't take anything personal. It's the internet. It's not real life, you know. Um, but again, I am asking for this space to be respectful, compassionate, kind, caring, all of these things. Again, if you like certain things that I did, leave that in the comments. If you didn't, or you want to see some improvements, or have maybe something else that you would like to see with the reading, leave that in the comments as well. If things resonated for you, if you want to plug in a little bit of what you feel like the story means for you, or what your story is and that you created, put that in the comments. Share. Maybe somebody would like to see this video. Maybe you feel like it would be beneficial for them, or etc., etc. Subscribe. I will be doing more of these videos. Again, this is the weekly tarot reading, so that will be as such. I am planning to do other types of content, and rather than saying what I would want to do, I'm just gonna do it and share and explain a little bit of it with each new piece of content that I record. As always, guys, I'm sending you guys so many blessings, so much love, so much light, so much gratitude. If you made it to the end of the video, that is dedication. Thank you. I appreciate it. Wishing you guys a beautiful, beautiful day. And until next time, Ashe.
Mueve tu cuerpo así. Love the way she looking at me. Pop up my lay right by the sea. Running from the cops that we flee. You're my living, walking, breathing meditation. No matter the weather or situation, all that we have is our intuition. Shawty, I hope that we make it out. Murder on your mind, so I had to air it out. High speed chase, hot box, had to air it out.